Hi, my name is Jonathan Narcisse. I'm running as an independent for governor here in Iowa. I'm running on the Iowa party ticket, and that's because Iowa needs a candidate who will put Iowa and Iowans above party and politics. Now, in this segment, we're going to talk about a key area of our individual income tax reform. Now, I just want to touch on two areas before I get to the main point. One, individual income tax reform. We want to see the top bracket lowered some. We don't support a flat tax because that would require raising the bottom brackets, and we just don't want to raise taxes on working class Iowans. Now, the second thing is we do preserve federal deductibility, and at a later date we'll discuss that in more detail, but we think that's important. But the key point I want to talk about in this segment is creating a rebate structure within the individual income tax code. Now, we'll often hear from one side of the political aisle arguments that create a social welfare system that takes care of the average American or average Iowan. And as a child of labor, I grew up in a household where my father liked the fact that he could pay for my appendicitis and buy my lunch and raise his children off the sweat of his brow. And so I think a lot of people out there don't really want to be wards of the state. But on the other hand, we hear a trickle-down economics that constantly comes from the Republican side of the aisle. And the truth is, we don't want to just be serfs either. I think Iowans and Americans want to be able to participate in the American dream. And with this particular area of tax reform, our rebate structure, we think we jumpstart the American dream. Now, it's real simple. We have a rebate structure. Individuals pay individual income taxes to the state. And with this proposal, we would allow Iowans to be rebated a percentage of their individual income tax that they could invest in the area of their choice. Now, there's three areas of investment we allow. The first one is a 5% rebate that you can put into the cause of your choice. You can invest it in the local scouts, local Little League. But you as an Iowan get to direct where that money goes. And that creates a pool based upon current data of up to $180 million that Iowans directly would be able to put into things like scouts and Little League and those things that they support. The arts, for example. And each Iowan controls that. But that's not the part that excites me, in all honesty. The part that excites me is that we create a 15% rebate where Iowans would be able to invest in the Iowa business of their choice. Now, the way this would work is real simple. You've paid your state taxes. You have a business you want to invest in. Now, it might be, if you're a doctor, it might be in your medical practice. If you have a family business, it might be in the family business. If you have a friend that has say a secondhand clothing store, I have a friend that owns a business called the Classy Closet. They sell high quality bags and shoes and other items to, they're all designer, they're high quality, they're all in great condition. It's a great little concept, and it's doing well. Let's say you wanted to invest there. Well, you would let the state know where to send the check or to wire the money, and those folks would then have that money, and you would now be an investor. Now, you have to negotiate with that business, and you're responsible for communicating, and you have to do your homework. But this creates a pool of up to $540 million in debt-free capital available to small businesses in Iowa. Now, there's also other potential benefits depending upon how well folks get together. And an economist by the name of Milton Friedman once said this: capitalism is the best system ever created for folks who can't stand each other to get along. So let's say we go to a small town in Iowa, say a Malcolm, Iowa, and they decide they want to bring back their grocery store. Say they're tired of driving 30 miles to go to Walmart to buy a head of lettuce or cabbage or an apple or a potato, and they want to bring their grocery store back to the small town. The folks in that town now have the capital, they can bring that store back. Or let's say a group like CCI, and I'm going to pick on CCI because they do a lot regarding predatory lending. Let's say CCI is tired of trying to talk the big banks into lowering their interest rates, or tired of going after the check cashing centers, and their membership comes together and says, why don't we pull together our 3,000 to 4,000 members, Why don't we pull together our income tax rebate checks and create a community banking system in Iowa? Or let's say, for example, you had the Iowa Federation of Labor that said, you know, a lot of our members buy jeans and shoes, and you know, why don't we take and create a store where our members can buy jeans and shoes and shirts, and you know, or maybe it would be as simple as this. You know, a group of 20-somethings sitting around in their buddy's mother's basement playing Rock Guitar Hero or you know, Halo 9, and one of the buddies is working on a search engine, and his computer goes out. And he says, you know what, I need $2,000 to buy a new computer. Now, each one of these individuals would have money that they could invest because they've paid into the state individual income tax. And those individuals might say, you know what, we'll buy you the new computer. And they all become owners. And he creates the next Google or the next Facebook. And 10 years from now, they're all sitting around in his basement, in his mansion, playing Rock Guitar Hero or Super Halo or whatever that game is called. I'm a chess player. I don't know what modern video games there are, but I know that video games exist. But they could all potentially be sitting around in his basement in his mansion, having benefited as free market capitalists and having a chance to invest in the American dream. And we think this is so much better than just simply giving a big corporation money so they can trickle down the wealth or putting people on the public dole. This allows every working Iowan to have the potential to be a part of creating something wonderful, either collectively with their friends and neighbors and family, or individually investing in a great idea halfway across the state. Now, another key aspect to our rebate structure is the revitalization of rural Iowa. Now, we'd like to have this first rebate be 15%, but based upon the numbers, we're going to keep it at 10%. Now, this creates a pool of $360 million that could be invested back in developing rural Iowa. Now, I'm going to let you in on two secrets as we prepare to wrap this up. One, 85 to 90% of the food we consume in this state is produced outside of this state. We don't grow food anymore in Iowa. We grow fuel, we grow feed, and we raise meat. And we do it through the encouragement and subsidy of the federal government, subsidizing ethanol, subsidizing particular areas of agriculture, paying farmers not to grow crops. And so our food industry in this state has died. And the family farmer has died also. We now have one family farmer for 10 we used to have just a generation or two ago. So we want to bring back the family farmer. So this creates a pool of up to $360 million that could be invested in Main Street in rural Iowa, reopening meat lockers, that could be used for processing of food, that could be used in helping small family farms get started. You know, a lot of people want to eat healthy. We call it organic now. It used to be just how we used to grow food, okay? But now all of a sudden, the young couple that wants to go back and start growing food, potatoes and broccoli and cabbage and lettuce, they now have some folks who could invest in their family farm so they could be competitive. And linked with our property tax reform, this would be a pretty potent combination. So we think this could be very exciting. Every Iowan becomes a free market capitalist. Every Iowan has resources to be able to potentially invest in the American dream. And at the very least, let's say we had a scenario where a business failed. Now, there's this wonderful, wonderful place that serves these great tenderloins called Goldie's. Now, let's say they expanded in 3 or 4 places, and they didn't quite make it. Well, they would have hired local people. They would have hired local contractors to work on the buildings. They would have hired local people to work at the place. They would have purchased things from local vendors. And even if the business goes under, that money goes back into the Iowa economy, as opposed to what happens now. And this is not a slight against Walmart, but after you take your debit card or credit card, they ship your money to Bentonville in about 30 seconds. This is not a slight against the Bass Pro Shop, but the owner lives in Florida. And why shouldn't Iowans own a wonderful establishment like that? Now, if one person can own 100 Bass Pro Shops, why can't 100 Iowans own one? So this is a great opportunity for people in Iowa to experience the American dream, to revitalize our economy, to stimulate commerce, to create growth, to create jobs, and do it the right way through the private sector. Iowans stimulating Iowa. Vote Narcisse, November 2nd for Iowa. Thank you very much.